It's a very interesting question, and it's one that we in the art department talk about all the time, because sometimes we feel like old dinosaurs, when we look at the work that's happening, in our case, down the corridor. I think there'll always be a place, for physical sets, because I think it's something that really does help everybody that's on the set. Whether it's the group or the actor or the director or whoever, you really get a sense of where you are by a physical place. And that's something that you'll never get, unfortunately, with a green screen, or not at the moment anyway. So while I think the role of visual effects is certainly growing, and it's something that we in the art department have to take into account, like there's no way we can possibly ignore it anymore, I think that an ideal future would be where the two of them actually fuse together. Because at present there tends to be a divide, and I think the ideal is to work together to the one outcome. It's something that I was very much trained to do as well. I worked with Alejandro González Iñárritu on 21 Grams years ago, and the interesting thing about Alejandro is he refuses to work in a set. He will not have a set built for him, because he believes that you should always be able to smell a set. And I think that's something that's really stuck with me. And the reason why his films look like they do is because he absolutely will not negotiate on the reality of it. And that's something that I think has ended up being very important to me. And it's all just layers and layers and layers of detail and information, and the architectural details, and there's many things that we can kind of cram in there to give the sets some sort of weight, some sort of history, some sort of that they almost hum by themselves is really, and as Alejandro would say, that they smell, that where you are immediately. That's what we always aim for. Personally, I think, and certainly the way I was trained at NIDA, is that you're only as good as the research that you do. And that all comes back to the authenticity as well. When you have really good research, what is driving everything behind these images that you're creating. You know the historical context from which they come. You understand the textures, you understand the colours, you understand the palette, you understand so many things about the culture that you're trying to recreate. And you just can't do that by making it up, by sitting at a desk by yourself. Put your Google fingers on, see what you find, and then put them all into the mix and see what happens. But at least, even if you ignore them, at least you've got that backup behind you to know what they are. And certainly on Game of Thrones, it's always down to the research. We always do our research.